Hey guys, it's Jason at Northern Soul Sportswear. It's Throwback Thursday, and Throwback Thursday has been thoroughly enjoyable. We have had a visitor in the store, gentleman who reached out during the first wave of the pandemic and the lockdown here in the UK, a chap called Graeme Simpson. Graeme is an ex-England player, and he wanted to donate his old lacrosse memorabilia and that of a former teammate who sadly passed away a few years ago, a gentleman called Vaughan Wilcox, who I knew as a junior growing up. He was a coach and a teacher at a local grammar school around Manchester, Cheadle Grammar. Now, Graeme reached out saying he had all this memorabilia he'd like to gift to us, and he said, when things open up and we get back to some sort of normal, I'm going to come and visit family and swing by the store and gift you all this stuff. Well, today was the day that Graeme came to visit, and what a nice gentleman. Some of the stuff he has left us here at the store is phenomenal. We're still going through some of it. There's old programs, there's old medals, there's all kinds of paper clippings, there's brochures from the 74 and the 78 World Games, 84 World Games. So some really cool stuff. But he's also given us his Old England shirt from 1974, which is amazing. Never been worn since the tournament. And Graeme could probably still fit into it. I'm not sure I could fit into a jersey that I used to play in all that time ago. But the other thing Graeme left us was some of his sticks, including a very, very unusual England dyed stick, a STX 73. Now, Graeme has got a fantastic story. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. I'm going to let Graeme tell it himself. So I managed to persuade Graeme to do a little bit for YouTube for us today. And he did a fantastic job. So I really hope you guys enjoy watching this story. And thank you very much again, Graeme Simpson, for allowing us here at Northern Soul to be custodian of your sticks and all your memorabilia, and that of Vaughan Wilcox. Thank you.
Yeah, my name's Graeme Simpson. I have been playing lacrosse since I was 11 years old at high school. Played for Sheffield University for 6 years in the late 60s and early 70s. So that included a tour of the northeastern USA by the English universities in 1971, which was kind of interesting. English lacrosse was at a bit of a turning point there. We were beginning to take on a lot of things that had been used for some time in American lacrosse in terms of protection, but also in terms of the rules. We went from 12-a-side to 10-a-side, and therefore had to adopt and refine a lot of tactics from the American game, which was great fun for us. So Easter 1971, we flew over to New York and we played about 8 games, I think it was, against various US universities, including Princeton, North Carolina, Duke, University of Massachusetts, University of Pennsylvania. The very first game, though, we had was against Washington and Lee University, who at that time were one of the leading universities in the US. And we all went over equipped with sticks that looked very much like this one, wooden sticks, and pretty cumbersome, but we'd become fairly proficient with them. The day before the first game, after a training session, I put my sticks down at the side of the pitch while we did some sprints or whatever, and when I came back, both my sticks had gone. Somebody had taken a fancy to them and they'd gone. Fortunately, we were being looked after in the US by a liaison officer, chap by the name of Wilson Fuster, who was an executive at STX at the time. And I guess he was a bit embarrassed that I'd lost my sticks before I'd been able to play a game with them. And so he said, hang on a second, in the back of his enormous station wagon, he had a pile of stuff. He said, I've got a prototype plastic stick that STX are working on. Would you use it through the rest of the tour? It would help you, I'm sure, but it would help STX refine the design of the stick. And it looked very much like this one. It's a plastic head with a wooden shaft, and it's this butterscotch colour. And so I took to it like a duck to water. It was much easier to use than my wooden one, and great fun to play with, and seemed to be fairly effective. We won most of our games in the US. And so I brought it back with me at the end of the tour and used it in the very tail end of that season, the 70-71 season for Sheffield University, and the following season. The following season, the plastic snapped on me on a very cold day at Mellor, I think it was, and so that was the end of that stick, and I no longer have it. But I think one of my main claims to fame, perhaps my only claim to fame, is that I can say I was the very first person to use a plastic stick in the UK. And there we go. So moving on from the story of the first lacrosse stick in 71, the first plastic lacrosse stick in 71, I was selected to play for England in the 1974 World Series in Australia, in Melbourne. And some of the stuff I had for that particular tour and experience, I've kept over these years, and I'm passing on to Jason now for safekeeping and for anyone else who's interested to come along and see them. So here's the photograph of the England squad, the 23, 24 of us, something like that, who were training at this point at Lillis Hall in our red England shirts. And here is my red England number 18 shirt that survives to this day and hasn't been worn since 1974. It's kind of interesting for two reasons. One is we also got red sticks to match. These are early 1974 STX sticks with an England, not even a logo, just a statement on the side of them. I suspect not many of these still survive, but this one's in almost the same condition as it was back in 1974. The shirt is also interesting because we went to Australia. It was a tournament where there were only 4 countries involved: the US, Canada, Australia, and ourselves. Japan hadn't come along playing lacrosse at that point, just the 4. We each played each other in a kind of round robin. The US won all their games in Australia, and so came first. Canada, Australia, and ourselves each won 1. So we beat Canada, Canada beat Australia, and Australia beat us. And so we were equal second or equal last, depending on which way you look at it. But after the tournament, we flew back to the UK, and the US were flying back to the US, but via the UK, and we arranged for a proper match to be played in the north of England. Was it Cheadle Cricket Club, I think we played at? And this was a big exhibition. I think there were about 5,000 spectators. turned up, and it was the most fantastic match that England ran out the winners of, 17-15. I believe it's still the only time that England have beaten the US, and this was the stick that I used in that game. And this wasn't actually the shirt, because the US played in red and we played in a white shirt, but it was that same time of the same year. So good memories, good history, and they're all in Jason's shop from now on.